further ado, okay, welcome again, everybody. Let's get started. MintBuilder, we're here for a very strategic purpose. MintBuilder, our slogan, stack more, spend less. That's the point here at MintBuilder is we want people to start saving again, right? That's the point. We kind of stopped saving and preparing ourselves for the future kind of almost 2 generations ago. And I think that it's at a place where it's extremely important right now to do that. And I believe there's a special way to do it, something a little different than other places. And what we do here at MintBuilder is we help you to accomplish this very easily and conveniently with an auto savings. So there's 2 points we're going to talk about tonight. Why should you be saving, basically, and what should you be saving in, and how MintBuilder can help you get there. So that's what we're going to talk about as we jump into this today. Just so you know, MintBuilder, we're not financial advisors. We're gold experts, precious metal experts. Been in the industry since the late 90s. We started a company since 2007. We've been in the actual field of physically distributing precious metals. But it was before that, the decade before that, was doing option and future trading with it. That's when we realized it's important to physically own this money, this asset, if you will. So let's get rolling here, guys. All right, so as you probably are aware, we are submerged in financial quicksand, which means that once it grabs you and it's pulling you under, it's extremely hard to get out of. And this position we're in right now, where it appears that everything is getting more expensive, is not actually the case. The actual case is our money is a problem. Our currency that we call money is the actual culprit. It's the problem. And what can we do about it? And first of all, it's about savings, and that's what we're going to jump into and talk a little bit about. When I'm talking about savings, to people, often they say, well, okay, I'm going to start saving, but I have to, figure out to get an extra stream of income first. I have to know how to do that. Once I can accomplish that, then I'm going to save. But unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way. The more we make, the more we spend. We think, well, we need this, we need that. And, that's just a human mindset. It's just something that's really hard to get past. But it's very, very important to know that you can actually figure out a way. There's always a way, scrape and scrounge, whatever it takes to get to a point where you have an emergency fund put away. Okay. Now, an emergency fund is a little different to every person, but it kind of all comes down to the first place to have that would be to have at least 1 week's of income put away. So that might mean, 500 to some person, 1,000 to another, 2,000 to another, whatever it may be. And that is a very, very baseline to where to start. Once you're there, you can breathe a little bit easier. Life is a little less stressful just because you know that if something happens, which can happen, you're able to take care of it. I had separated my shoulder not too long ago. Medical emergencies pop up. Even if you have insurance or don't have insurance, you still have to pay out of pocket something probably. And, you just have to be ready for that kind of stuff, right? You have to have some kind of emergency fund put away. Now, there's a way to expedite this savings. You don't just stick money in a bank account or under your mattress like maybe our grandparents used to do, because back then money was actually money because it was backed by tangible assets, by real things, gold, and that makes a big difference. Even our current, even our change was made with silver. We it's part of our savings plan here at MintBuilder, actually, that they call 90% silver, or some people call it junk silver. That was because it was real money. Gold, our paper stuff was backed by gold. So they had the right to do that back then. We can't do that today. If we do, we lose. We're just throwing money out the window. So there's a better way to do it. And I believe there's lots of assets in the world, tons of different kinds of assets, from cryptocurrency to, to some people even call their house an asset. That really depends. That's a tough subject. That's a whole nother topic to talk about, but there's other things that are assets, right? Maybe it's you have artwork that's an asset. Maybe you have, rental properties that are assets. Maybe you have, a collectible antique car that's an asset. One asset that stands out head and shoulders above all of the rest, in my opinion, is precious metals. I believe it's the best vehicle because not only does it have the historical significance that it does keep itself above, what we would call inflation, but also it's tangible and you can liquidate it back into currency, cash, if you need to. It's fairly easy to do that, and it has the same kind of value, if you will, no matter what country you go into. Gold and silver has that mean. So I believe it's one of the best assets that we could possibly use as a savings vehicle. Now, why do we want to get out of the paper currency? Maybe most of you maybe already know why, the answer to that question. But in case you don't, let me just do a really fast couple-minute history lesson. Our currency is not money anymore. It's called fiat currency. That changed. Basically, it completely changed in 1971, but it actually started in 1913 when the Federal Reserve was created. J.P. Morgan, what, 2 decades, a little over 2 decades prior to that, all the way up to that point, was funding the whole country. He was bailing out the country. These big corporations and the banks and things like that were, running into these huge crisis, points. And he's like, you know what, if I'm going to keep doing this, then I want to have some say so on what is going to happen with the monetary system of this country. And so he secretly met at Jekyll Island with a senator and a bunch of other big bankers. And he actually didn't meet, but he sent like 3 representatives to meet for him. And they worked out a plan there at Jekyll Island, just off of Georgia, off in the island there. And he basically had a whole plan to restructure our entire currency, taking away from constitutional money into something totally different. It took a little bit, convincing for the government to accept it, because it's supposed to be in the power of Congress, not in an outside entity. But needless to say, they won, and now there's something called the Federal Reserve. It's not federal. It's not really anything to do with government whatsoever. It's individuals. Now, our government, does have say so in voting, who's the governors of the Federal Reserve, which is a central bank. But really, they kind of make their own policies, and they kind of control what's happening with our currency. And this is a whole huge thing to study. It really is interesting, and it really controls how we use our monetary system today. They control, kind of how the inflation is going. They always want the inflation to go up. They don't want it. They don't want stagflation. I mean, they don't really want stagflation, even though that's where we're kind of at right now. They don't want deflation. That'll ruin them. They'll go out of business. But they do want inflation, but they want to control it. They want it to be small. They want it to be 3 to 5%. Unfortunately, it gets out of control sometimes, like it is now, where we're in the double digits, even though they don't report it that way. So, it's kind of that control system, if you will. Now, we call it Federal Reserve. It's not federal. It's kind of a trickery, if you will, sort of, kind of a wordplay. And then all the rest of these banks are called central banks around the world, right? So there's different ones for different countries. We just happen to call ours the Federal Reserve. And the central bank's tricky too, because it's not really even a bank. They work with the banks. They're like the bank's boss. They're like the one in charge, the manager of the banks, if you will, like Chase and Wells Fargo and Bank of America, places like that. But they're not really even a bank, and they're not federal, so it's kind of deceiving. Anyway, good thing to research. We kind of swing 20 years later. Roosevelt comes in. He's in a bad spot with the economy, and we're talking about Great Depression stuff happening. So he has some big moves to make, but kind of deceitfully, he also has some other agenda that kind of comes into play. And trying to fast forward this a little bit. Basically, what ends up happening is he says that us holding gold is now illegal. No gold certificates, no gold coin, no gold bullion. At this time, you could have your gold jewelry. You could have collectible numismatic gold, but no coins and bullion and certificates. You had to turn it all in, but don't worry, they're going to give you what it's valued at. But what happened was everybody turned it in and got like $20, and I don't know, was it $20.46 or something per ounce of gold? But almost immediately, once he did that, what happened is that the gold was revalued to $35 per ounce. May not sound like a lot, but when you go from 28 to 35, that's about a 40% decrease. And it sounds like increase, but it's actually a decrease for those holding the paper. It's an increase for those holding the gold. So everybody just lost 40% of their wealth, their savings, whatever that was at that time. So it created a kind of an uproar, but it was something that supposedly needed to be done. And then it also changed our money, because at that point they kind of started to not back the currency fully anymore by gold. So it wasn't like $20 per 1 ounce of gold that they could print $20, and as long as they had 1 ounce of gold protecting it. That wasn't the case anymore. So later on, a little over a decade later, they met in Bretton Woods and tried to reestablish some kind of a better gold holding. It took over a decade and a half, almost 2 decades, to get a little bit of traction internationally, but then ended up not really working out. And then 1971, all the countries around the world, so many of them, were like, we own these bonds from the U.S. These are U.S. IOUs. It's kind of like other countries loaning the U.S. money, so they would use their gold and send it to the U.S. The U.S. would send them bonds. That way, they're making interest on it. But then they were like, you know what? We have a bad feeling about the U.S. dollar. We don't really like where it's going. So everybody started, coming in to get their gold back, and they wanted to trade the bonds and treasuries back. And the government was like, whoa, 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 we can't give up all of our gold. So Nixon announced and said, hey, we're gonna like just temporarily pause this gold, back dollar. We're just gonna temporarily pause it. And so it was supposed to be just, it'll be for a little while, but not forever, and try to stop this. Well, lo and behold, it didn't. It wasn't just temporary like he promised it would be. It actually became permanent. And at that moment in time, our currency, again, it changed. So from 1913 to 33, it changed. From 1933 to 71, it changed. And from 1971 on, it's a completely different currency than it was, just what was that? Just like 50 years ago before that. So we have changed our currency many, many times, but it's got one destination that's zero, and we're heading there really fast right now. And it's something for us to really pay attention to. Maybe we're seeing more often as gold and silver are hitting new levels. Gold's hit all-time highs, record highs. Silver is on its way up and up and up. There's little known facts that, not to just take my word for it, I've been studying this stuff for a long time. But obviously there's bigger entities than us, me, and MintBuilder. There's so many other entities that are like banks, like JP Chase, who are actually trading in their currency for silver and gold. JP Morgan actually got in trouble because they were kind of cornering the market. This was just a few years ago. 675 million ounces of silver they bought. So there's a little reason probably they're doing that. It's important to pay attention to see. What about central banks? The managers, the bosses of Chase Bank and all these guys, they're buying up all the gold right now. So they own 25% of all of the gold in the entire world that's been extracted from the ground. That's 1.15 billion ounces of gold that they own. Now, it isn't always that way. So it's not like they're just hoarding gold all the time or silver all the time, because banks used to have gold and silver, because you would take your certificate, your paper currency in, and the bank would have to give you gold in exchange for it back in the old days. Well, that's not why they're doing it, because they don't have to do that anymore. They're doing it for another reason. And they don't always do this. So just over the last 2 or 3 years, the central banks have bought up record amounts of gold, more than they ever have bought up before in history. There's times where they sell off their gold. It's not, people ask me a lot of times, you're in the gold silver industry. We're supposed to buy silver and gold forever, and then and then one day just die, and we just take it with us, or we send it to as an inheritance. What are we supposed to do with it? Just like, was a Scrooge McDuck, he used to dive in his bin full of gold coins and swim around in it. What are we supposed to do with these things, right? Well, it's not like that. It's not something to just sit there and hoard and hold on to and count meticulously every day, even though sometimes it's fun to hold on to it physically. What it's there for is it's a protection, it's an insurance, right? It's not an investment. You're not earning interest on it. You're not, there's no compounding interest. There's no dividends paid out. It's something to help protect you against the wiles of our currency and what's happening with the dollar, right? That's what it's there for. And that's the only reason that the central banks and the big banks, that's the only reason they're buying up precious metals. It's not because they want to dive in bins full and swim around in it. It's because they're protecting themselves. It's an asset that protects you. And they know that, and we should know that, but we're not taught that. My parents didn't teach me. I'm guessing maybe your parents didn't. If they did, that's awesome. And that's a good thing, so we can break the generational curse and start passing on to the next generation. This new information, that's not new at all, actually. It's very old information that was kind of disseminated away from our educational system, which actually happened when Roosevelt was in office in the 1930s on through his whole presidency, which he was, the longest term president ever. And it was kind of like slowly removed from our education and understanding. So it's important for us to come back to understanding, to know that that is true money, that is true wealth, that is always has been thousands of years. Silver and gold have been money, and they always will be. money, and it's always a protector. Obviously, we should do what the banks are doing, and not do what they're telling us to do. Don't take loans from them necessarily unless you have a way to make more money from it than what it's costing you. But instead, do what they're doing and trade your currency in for real wealth right now to protect yourself. That's what it's all about. Um, like I was already beating on this, is the world currency is changing again. This ain't the first time, not even, for most of us maybe on here, not even in our lifetime, it's happened already before. We had some kind of things change in 2008 even, with the housing crisis, that kind of changed the way the banks operate, which also changed kind of our currency system. And it's not going to be the last time. This one might be a little bit more of a dramatic one that happens because we're going into more of a, like a digital currency, if you will, and it kind of makes it a little different. But think about, if any of you on here that are like my age or older, I was born in the 70s, so I remember in the 80s that, we handled cash more often, right? You would go places and pay with cash. All of a sudden, cash just started disappearing. We didn't even realize it just happened, right? And then we started using plastic. Just kind of how things work. So that means that there's less currency in the world, actual printed currency, and now it's a bunch of ones and zeros. That is a currency change. And now we're going to where it's fully going to be digital at some point here, probably in our lifetime, and a little bit more, kind of controlled, if you will. So cryptocurrency is a good thing if it's in a place like, like Bitcoin, gold and silver are always going to be a good thing because it's always, there's a finite amount of it. They can't make it, not at this point anyway. And, it's always something that holds the value. So we're changing, guys. And are we going to be on top of it or are we going to be underneath of it? That's the thing to ask yourself. So here's why I believe that our currency is going to change. Maybe, we're just hearing it and I know people just say it and it's like, okay, so we just take their word for it. But it's really the best thing you can do is to find out, research yourself why. Why do they say this? Do I really believe what they're saying? And why should I believe what they're saying? And you kind of take it from that side. Here's the problem. The US, when I say the US, maybe there's people on here from other countries. It's not very different. You can go to the UK, Canada, Australia. You can go, to the, Eastern countries. It doesn't matter. It's kind of all following in the same ratio. The US debt, and if you are a US citizen, that's your debt too, not just the government. It's all of our debt. It's 38 trillion right now, right? And it's growing super rapidly, right? Okay, well, 38 trillion is what's reported that we hear about, but the truth is 38 trillion isn't even scratching the surface. It's actually far more than 38 trillion. It's actually more like 252 trillion. Now, how do I know this? Go to the usdebtclock.org. Check it out. You're going to see numbers flying on there really fast. It's like up to date live. What's happening with our debt? What's happening around, around the world? So this is including unfunded liabilities. So you're talking about Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, things like that, that the government has to owe. When I say the government, I mean taxpayers, current taxpayers have to pay and owe. So as one of the biggest generations in the world is going into retirement, we already entered that era, and it's kind of just at this beginning. It's got a long way to go until it gets to its fulfillment. That means that there's less people paying in taxes, to some extent, than there are, that are collecting these unfunded liabilities. The definition of that I would call a Ponzi scheme. So a Ponzi scheme is where you're counting on future involvement to pay off past stuff, right? So what if there is no more future involvement? Then everybody is in big trouble because everything's gonna get shut down. There's not enough money. So bottom line is this, is if you owe something to somebody, it should be counted in your liabilities. It should be counted in your debt. Even if you're not paying for it yet, at some point, what if you got a deferred loan? You took a loan out or some kind of credit card and it says no payments until 12 months. You got some new furniture. 12 months, you don't have to make any payments. Would you say, well, that's not debt? Of course you wouldn't, because you have to pay for it at some point, right? Someone's got to pay the piper at some point. So $252 trillion is really what's due. And that's impossible, because the problem is that, we're at a place where our GDP, that means the amount of money that we're making as a country, is 28 trillion. How in the world can we possibly ever think about trying to pay off 252 trillion? It's impossible. our currency is going to change. The currency we have has to change again, because if it doesn't, I mean, we're bankrupt, right? So they have to come somehow conjure up a way to figure out how to, change the entire system. But when they do it, who's not going to benefit? Us. We're not going to benefit from the change. Just like in 1933, when don't worry, you have to give us back your gold, but don't worry, we're going to pay you fair value for it. Well, it's fair value at the moment, but then they have to change the game, and they made it not fair value after they got all the gold in hand. Then they changed the value of gold by 40%. They had to do it, otherwise, what was the point of even doing it in the first place? They were trying to get back on track financially, but then the money just gets spent again. Now, again, to get back on track financially, our gross domestic product is 1/10 of the amount of debt we have. So I suspect that means that somewhere they have to devalue everything 10 times. So we could be 10 times losers at some point where everything is worth 10 times less, unless you have something to protect you. And those are the assets that we're talking about, whether it be trusted crypto or whether it be precious metals, which I believe having a little bit of each is fine. But I do believe in tangible assets. Something I can hold in my hand, I believe, is the most valuable tangible asset you can have that has a proven track record for thousands of years. And that's why I believe our currency is going to change, and we need to do something about it now before we get in trouble. And we don't want to be the one that has to pay the piper, and we lose 10 times the value or 90% of our wealth. I don't want to lose 90% of my wealth. And so I want to do something about it right now. And I think we have to make moves pretty quick to accomplish that. Again, this is something I set up the fair price pendulum. I call it the FPP for short. It's fast and easy. We can use this to see what is overvalued versus undervalued, so we have an idea and we're not like, hyped up into believing something, right? And kind of just it takes the emotions out of it, because we are emotional beings. We are driven by two main emotions, and that's fear and greed. Psychologically, it's proven. Those are the number two drivers. Why do you think all sales techniques, whether it's that new sexy perfume or cologne, it's that greed, right? Like, it's going to make me more attractive. Or why is it that if you should be getting into this new product, this new investment that's coming out, even though it may not have any proven track record whatsoever, but they do it and they pitch it in a way that makes you fearful that you're going to miss out. FOMO, right? So these are the two number one sales techniques that people use, because it's our number one, emotional weaknesses. So how do we overcome those? We have to have facts and numbers. I love numbers and math because they take the emotion out of everything, and it helps you to make rational decisions. Like Warren Buffett, basically, kind of summarizing what he says is that when the herd, everybody that is running after things emotionally, which is the majority of people, when they run towards something, that's when he sells that thing and runs the opposite direction and buys whatever it is they're selling. And then when they sell that thing, then he goes and buys that thing, and then he moves away from what they're running from and he sells that. Basically do the opposite of what the herd is doing, kind of a thing. Because by the time someone jumps on board with everybody moving one direction, then it's kind of too late. You've missed the boat. You're going to lose. You're going to lose out on it. So this is a good tool to use. We're creating a widget here at MintBuilder to kind of help people use that are members here to use it. One of the things I just want to touch on, there's so many things I can go on to with the FPP, like stocks and so many other things too, but cars and food and all these things. But this housing is kind of a hot topic over the last 2 years. How housing prices are like skyrocketing all over the place right now. Based on our income, housing is overpriced by 40%, which is insane, right? Some places you feel like it's even double what it should be. And that's because over the last 50 years, and the fair price pendulum is based on 50 years because that's about how long it's been since our money is not money anymore, and the gold backing has been removed. So that's the best place to kind of compare it to. So typically the median price of a house, the median income versus the median priced house, it takes about 4.12 years of income to buy a house. That's the median. That would be what you call normal, the 100%. But right now it takes 5.75 years. Okay, that's way 40% overvalued, right? But is this really the truth? Is this really what's happening? Now let's compare it to not currency, money. Let's compare it to something real, tangible. Let's compare it to gold. So with gold, and actually this is far lower right now because gold, as you know, is hitting all-time highs. It normally takes 278 ounces of gold, but right now it only takes actually like 289 probably ounces of gold. So really, housing is not overvalued. It's just you're buying the house with the wrong thing. You're keeping your wealth in the wrong thing. That's paper currency. It's currency is not meant to be kept. It's not meant to be held on to. It's not designed that way. The Federal Reserve knows that. All the central banks know that. The big banks know that. They don't do that. They do not keep it. The ultra wealthy, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, all of the people that we either love or hate, they don't do that. They don't keep their wealth in their currency. If you ask Bill, if you ask um, uh, any of them, Jeff Bezos, if you ask any of them, hey, I want a billion, I need $1 billion for whatever, blah, blah, maybe it's the greatest thing ever. They're not, and they're like, maybe they're all about this investment. They want to do it. They're not going to go to the bank and pull out $1 billion. It doesn't work that way. They have to sell off an asset. Why do we do that? Why do we keep our money, if we even keep any, in that? Because that's what we're taught and told to do. We have to change our mindset into something else. So currency is important because it's like a current, like in a river, or current in electricity. When you hit the switch on electric light or something, you hit the switch, what happens? The light goes off. Why? Because you stopped the current from flowing. The moment the current stops flowing, it has nothing for you anymore. It doesn't do anything. It does nothing, right? Water, if you stop the water from a river from flowing, it's going to build up, build up. But eventually, if it doesn't have any more movement, if you block both ends of it, it's going to become stagnant. Even lakes have inlets and outlets because it has to keep things flowing. It's how our money is designed. It's not money anymore, right? It's currency. It has to flow because it is a current. If it doesn't flow into assets, into new assets, and protecting yourself, then it's worthless. As Robert Kiyosaki says, cash is trash. It's really a tool that you're not supposed to hold on to. You're supposed to use it. If you don't use it, you lose it. It goes into worthlessness, right? Over time. Again, right now, if I were to show you with silver, it's the same thing. Housing is, again, underpriced versus silver. It's the same thing. You look at stock markets, though, I'm not really going to go into too much because that's a whole other topic. If you look at the S&P 500 and the Dow and stuff, they're like, oh my gosh, it's going so good. And my investments, well, also it's overvalued like 200 and some percent right now. So that's a whole long topic to get into, but it shows on the pendulum what it should be and where it should be at. Okay, now you kind of understand a little bit, hopefully more about why you should have silver and gold right now. And I know this sounds kind of dire how I'm talking tonight. That's because I believe I see what's happening right now and we're in a dire situation. I believe it's a good time to always have some assets on hand. I think there's times to sell off gold and silver. And I think there's times to buy gold and silver. And I think right now is by far the best time to buy gold and silver. There's going to come a point in time where you're not going to be able to probably get your hands on gold and silver maybe for a while. And people are going to be lined up down the streets trying to go to these gold and silver stores or online trying to buy it. And they're going to be like, well, we can't get it to you for the moment. And that can happen. We've seen it happen for a little window of time in 2020, when we had that pandemic. And, and I think that's going to be small compared to what we're going to be dealing with potentially for a period of time while we transition more heavily, quicker into a movement of different currency. It's not the end of the world. I don't believe it's some kind of apocalyptical type thing. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm just saying during these transitions, like when Roosevelt in 1933 said, hey, we sent out a decree that you have to turn in your gold and we're going to buy it from you. It wasn't like, it wasn't like everybody was like forever, going to be poor. No, if you were able to do something different back then, it was only for a window of time. And I think we're in the position now to learn from our past history so that we can protect ourselves now. Do I think they're going to do a gold recall again or something like that? I highly doubt it. It almost has not even a pinch of value compared to the amount of debt we have. But there's different things in different ways that they, can and can't do constitutionally. And there's things you can do about it that are a little different as well. But we won't get into that too much. Again, I don't want to keep you guys on here really late, but I am writing a book that will talk more about that crisis to fortune. You can read into that. But just to kind of tell you, so now you understand you should have some silver and gold on hand. Hopefully you understand that. And I'm going to tell you why MintBuilder, I believe, is the best place to do it. Here at MintBuilder, our goal again is to get people saving again. We want to make it convenient to save because we know most people aren't savers, and we haven't been for a couple of generations. It's kind of like, we used to be able to have one source of income coming into the house. Then it became you had to have two, almost everybody had to have two incomes. Now it's almost more than that. Like you have to have two incomes plus a side gig going on, right? So we want to help that. We want to help get people on track faster. And we believe that having the best prices anywhere will do that. So I'm going to show you just a couple comparisons. Here's a Silver Eagle. This company I'm showing you, they're probably the second largest online retailer in the world. They do billions of dollars in sales. They're very well priced, and they're selling the Silver Eagle at the time of this. When I grabbed the screenshots for $34.57, and at the exact time I grabbed our screenshot here on MintBuilder, $28.36. And you don't have to buy what 1,000, 1,500, ounces to be able to get that price. You can buy one, you can buy 10, 20, whatever amount you want to buy. It's always gonna be that lower of a price. Now, one thing you need to look at is, okay, people are like, well, when they do price comparison, like, well, because it'll show usually on their website, it's only $32.57. But yeah, that's if you're buying 1,500 Silver Eagles. So most people aren't in a position necessarily to be spending so much money on just silver. So the best thing to do is look at how many are you going to buy, right? So let's say you're going to buy 20. Okay, that's $34.07. If you're paying with a check or a wire. If you're going to pay with a credit card, then it's $35.49. So that's important to look at that when you're doing comparisons. Now, another top retailer, they're definitely in the top 10 biggest retailers. They're selling it for $34.55. Now, again, their best price with 20 or more, which is reasonable to have this this tier system is really, really reasonable compared to 1,500. Still, it's $34.05. Okay, if you're doing that's even with a credit card. Now, again, MintBuilder, it's still 20% less. So it's kind of cool to look at that. Now, I'm showing you Bullion, and I can show you Numismatics, and I can show you how we're like kicking everybody's butt on Numismatics because we're far cheaper on Numismatics collectibles. But I'm showing you Bullion because honestly, quite honestly, that's the #1 seller, and people are looking for Bullion, right? I like to collect and save more Bullion, but I do like to have collectibles, but I put a higher percent right now into Bullion. When the market swings back and we have for some reason, it's a good point to sell your silver and gold. That's when I'll probably sell more Bullion. I'll always keep some on hand, but I'll sell off some of it. And then I will probably at that point buy more collectibles, more numismatics. So that's kind of how I do it personally. So here's another Bullion bar, 2.5 gram, very popular here at MintBuilder for a savings. And here's that top retailer, the #2 retailer again in the world. They're selling it for $207 with a bank wire, $216 with credit card. Here at MintBuilder, when I did screenshots, same time, is $195. Super, super good price. And I'm showing you some of the best. There's gonna be some people online that are selling them at this time. They were selling for like $245. Some places even more than that. So even though I think that the pricing only matters a little bit, because eventually at some point, 5 years or 10 years or whatever, maybe you're going to look at it and be like, okay, $12, whatever. But the point of having some, of course I want you to buy with MintBuilder, but the most important thing is that you start saving right now. And that's why we set up the easy, set up your savings account and just you set it and forget it. So you don't have to depend on your, timing to get it done. Because I know for me, I'm really busy. And I forget things a lot. If I don't make it like alarm reminders, I'm constantly forgetting things. So I like to automate as much stuff as I can in my life. And so that's why we make it super easy to save so you can be a saver. We want everybody to be savers with the right thing and the right tools. So here's the other retailer, $222, the credit card, $229. So, huge savings. Now, you want to beat out the thing with Roosevelt where it says, hey, turn in all your gold, but not the jewelry, of course. Well, now not too many years ago, they started this thing called wearable wealth. Okay, so you actually are buying bullion that you can wear, and it's not like normal jewelry where it has like a 500% markup or worse. It's actually about the cost of buying bullion. And this is an example. This is a 1 ounce gold bracelet. This is pure 24 karat, 4 9s pure. And this is the one of the top retailers are selling it for $2,715. A little bit high for bullion, I think, because at the time that I did this, you could probably buy a 1 ounce of gold for like 23.75 or something. So was it $350 markup? But again, here at MintBuilder, we're selling it for almost the same price, just a little bit marked up, as buying a 1 ounce gold bar. And you can wear this bracelet. It's so cool. And one size fits all because why? It's gold. So guess what? It's soft. So you can just barely stretch it open a little bit, slip it on, and there you go. Now you can travel the world. You don't have to necessarily worry about potentially. I mean, I know they could do anything they want. It's, constitutionally it doesn't matter. But I know at least going by 90 years ago, when they did the recall, they didn't do jewelry. But the other cool thing is when you travel, I think it's $10,000. You can't carry more than 10,000 in cash. Because I know for us, if someone's buying something, with cash, then anything over 10,000 or more, we have to report. We have to like fill out a form. But if you do other ways, if you're paying with like bank wires, there are other ways like that. You don't have to necessarily do these kinds of transactions. You don't have to record it. And when you travel, you can wear bracelets and necklaces and all this stuff is pure gold. It's just your jewelry, so you don't have to worry about if you have over $10,000 worth of wealth. And you get into a pickle if you're abroad somewhere in another country. And guess what? Probably that country likes gold and silver too, because every country on the planet pretty much likes gold and silver. So it has that same value no matter where you go. So it's a really nice thing. I sat down with a um, um, what was it? It was a priest. I don't know. This was probably 4 years ago. Met him for lunch. He happened to be in town. We hung out for a little bit. He's an avid saver here at MintBuilder, has been for a while. And he was telling me about a story that he ran into financial trouble not too many years prior to when I met him. And he was a rabbi, and he said something happened with the church, and he had to like not get paid for some time. And so he said, thank God that he had so many thousands of dollars saved in precious metals. He was able to sell off some of his savings for this kind of an emergency, and it got him through like 6 months without having any income. And he just kept on living as his normal living. Yeah, he paid all of his expenses just like normal, just with his savings. That made me super happy. Having that kind of testimony. It didn't make me happy that he was in that predicament, but I was happy that he was able to take care of it. That's what it's for, guys. That's what it's for. Now, here at MintBuilder, basically getting access to, the best price precious metals anywhere is part of what we call our VIP membership. So our customers are our VIPs, and it's like kind of like Costco or Sam's. You pay a membership. You can pay monthly, $59 a month, or $79. I mean, $59 a month billed annually, or you can pay $79 a month billed monthly. And it not only gives you like the best prices on the assets, which is your savings that I'm going to talk about in a minute. Also, all the shops, like items like Numismatics and other bullion, you're going to save 50%. When I say 50%, I'm talking about 50% off the premium. A premium is what our cost is as a direct wholesaler and the retail price. So the 50% you're saving on that. You're also going to get free storage. We have some members who would be paying well over $100 a month for their storage because they don't want to hold that much wealth in their household. And so that's a huge benefit for the members. That pays for their membership all by itself. We do feed a starting child, so your monthly or annual membership is feeding children. Love the organization, the best nonprofit organization I've ever seen. 91% of all the money goes directly to the food, which is unheard of because usually it's like 50 to 75% maybe goes towards the product. And they're able to do it with the volunteers. And I've been volunteering with them, just get meal preparation. I did that numerous times over the years, and I just love the organization. They help children in over 100 countries, not just third world countries, but even right here in the United States. And they don't just feed children, but they also teach them how an occupation so that they can, not just feed them a fish, but teach them how to fish. And I love that. You know, you can't, how are you even going to be successful in life if you don't even know where your next meal is going to come from? You're only thinking about survival, not thinking about planning ahead for the future. So once they start getting their bellies full, then the whole world changes for them. And I love the organization. So you get to be part of that. Precious Metal is knowledge base you have access to with this membership. It's a lot of Q&A, a lot of stuff that's going to help you out, you know, with different things. And we're going to talk a little bit about our earn and refer program. Our open vault marketplace where you can sell your gold and silver products to our entire base. And we also have things like the wholesale access to the Mint wallet, which is digitally traded silver and gold that are physically stored. So this isn't the fake stuff like when I was doing day trading, you know, and this is in Wall Street where it's supposed to be legit, and you're trading gold or silver, and you know, and then you don't actually ever usually take delivery of it, but some big people can, like Warren Buffett. He tried doing that, and they didn't have enough silver, and they were like scrambling everywhere trying to get silver. And why are they doing that? They should have the amount of silver they're trading, right? That's what they should be doing. But they're not, you know, and there's other companies that have done this kind of thing too, and they're super sketch. You should have physically backed stuff, right? So yeah, it's important, very important to make sure that you're physically storing you have it physically stored. But it's really cool because you can take your phone anywhere in the world. You could be in a place that you don't really have access to physical gold and silver. There are some countries we can't ship to, but maybe they can instead just go on their phone and buy silver and gold. And when they want to sell it, just push some buttons and sell it. So they know they have silver and gold. They can make, you know, protect themselves with it. It's giving access to everybody to have silver and gold that maybe didn't otherwise. So I love the Mint wallet. You have access to that. Oh, that's cool. So yeah, I see you were talking about you were volunteering. I love it. Yep, that is really cool. They create the female second children. They create a competition. There's all these different tables set up, and it's like how many meals can your table? There's like what 6 or 7 people in your station, and you're trying to see how many, you know, who gets the most meals packed in that whatever hour and a half time you're there. It goes by so fast. Anyway, yeah, I'm glad to hear the people on here doing it. It's a lot of fun. So you have a free wealth planning app. We partnered up with Pocket Nest. Let's get your, you know, finances on track. You know, let's get it so you can achieve your goals financially. They help you do that by first analyzing psychologically where you're at and what they can help you do on the app. It's a perfect tool. Love it. We have discounts on travel attractions because once you start getting in a place where you have some of your debt paid off, you know, maybe you're like me, you like to just, you know, explore the world. You want to go places, right? And they give you the best discounts I've ever found. I use Expedia and things like that. This is far better, the best pricing anywhere. And the cool thing is right now we're running a promotion. I want to make this promotion permanent, but we have to have your help to get us there. This is what the promotion is. We're gonna drop the price of the membership, and it is dropped right at this moment. So this is the time to jump on board and you know, be a part of MintBuilder. But we're dropping it in less than half price. I mean, the monthly is just slightly less than half, but the annual is far less than half. And from, you know, $59 a month paid annually to only 25, that's only $299 a year. From $708 all the way down to $299 a year. And for the monthly, instead of $79 a month, it's only $39 a month if you just want to pay monthly. And you're gonna have full access to this. So what do I mean by permanent? Right now, this promotion is running until the end of April. Till the end of April. To go, then we're, you know, we don't want to go back to the regular prices, but you know, MintBuilder, of course, is a business that has to operate. You know, we have employees, we have overhead, we have you know, we're a lot of shipping facility stuff going on, and you know, administrative stuff happening. You know, to keep the wheels going, the grease, we have to have a certain amount of money coming in. We're by far one of the least greedy companies you're ever going to find. We're here to help people out. You guys are our #1 goal. The reason we started a company was to help people create the savings. I seen it, you know, a need, because I know for myself, once I realized it, yeah, I took the Dave Ramsey course. I used to teach it, and some other financial courses too. I don't disagree with everything, but I do disagree with some of the things he does. But some of it's good, some of it's not. I think that one thing I do agree with him on is we have to create a savings. And so that's why we created MintBuilder, and we want it to be the most affordable savings possible. So, you know, to get this wholesale VIP membership, we want it to be cheaper. The only way to do it is we have to, you know, the numbers have to make sense. And right now, what we're doing is we put a goal out here, right? And so we have to get to 500 new members from, when did we start this? I think it was March, like the third week of March, I believe. And we were, or maybe it was mid-March, but anyway, we were going to stop April 7th. We said, hey, you know what? We're going to push this through. We're going to help people have more time. We're going to go till the end of April to get to 500 new members, right? And so what we're doing at this point is we're, pushing and pushing and pushing to get it done. And right now we're at about 45% of the way there. We have, what is that, like 3 more weeks left. So I think we can do it. If we accomplish this goal, then we're going to permanently leave the price to $25 a month paid annually and $39 a month for the monthly. And we would love nothing more than to be able to lock in the price at that. Matter of fact, you can mark my words on this. We will set up another goal at some point. Once we achieve this goal and we're, kind of cruising along, we're helping more and more people. We'll put another goal out there and then let's get this price lowered even more. Again, we want to make this affordable. We want people to be able to start saving more and more. But again, the numbers have to make sense. We're selling the precious metals, pretty much at exactly our cost. So with a slight amount of commissions that are paid out on them, and that makes it, so the membership is really the only income that MintBuilder has coming through. But hey, this isn't like Amazon or anything else. Once you have, hundreds of thousands, then millions of people coming in, you can get the cost way down. Where other companies like Netflix and stuff like that, they're jacking their prices up, which doesn't make sense because they have more users than they've ever had, which happened dramatically from 2020 when everybody was stuck in their house. More people started buying Netflix. And for some reason, having more users ended up costing us more. Now, they raised their prices. A lot of the others, like Peacock and them, are, keeping the price maybe the same, but then now you have to watch ads. And if you don't want to get rid of the ads, then you're going to have to pay a little bit more. We want to do the opposite. We want to drop the price because if you have more users, the math makes sense. And then we can keep dropping the price. I would love to see that price get down to anybody can afford to jump in. If you can't afford a monthly membership, it's okay. You can still come in and set yourself up, getting some, precious metals saved every month. That's the most important thing, right? Is it better to obviously get it at a wholesale price, take advantage of some of these other things? Yes, of course. But it's more important, to yourself that you start saving assets right away. So now I want to just kind of go through real quick. These are just some of the assets that you can jump onto. It's really nice. You can go in, you can say, hey, I want, half a gram of gold this month. That's what I can afford. Maybe next month I can afford a 1 gram or 2.5, or maybe I want silver. I'm just thinking about how the pendulum works. What is gold, undervalued more than silver? Which ones, so maybe you can switch it back and forth. You have absolute control over what you're saving. And maybe 1 month it's tight and you just can't save, I hope that doesn't happen because I feel like, sometimes it's just a matter of like maybe not going out to Starbucks or something, just little things like that add up enough that, if you can at least try to save like $100 or $200 a month, that's for your future, that's your benefit, because it's something's protecting you. It's like kind of like an insurance for your wealth. But anyway, the cool thing is you have complete control over it. You're getting your metal storage. We talked about that. You're talking about your Mint wallet, your digital metals that you can buy, that is really nice, and but it's physically backed and it's easy to do. And the last thing that I didn't talk about yet is you have access to here as a MintBuilder customer is our infinite banking. And this is a really cool addition that we've added just recently. It's basically you become your own bank instead of going in and just utilizing another bank where you put your money into a savings account. They take your money and they go out and invest it and they make a whole bunch off of it and they pay you a very, very tiny minuscule percent for your savings, and they're like, thank you very much for letting me make money off of your money, appreciate it. You instead become your own bank. You put money into what is used as a whole life insurance and policy, and you're putting money in there as a savings, but it has to be set up specifically in a certain way. And we partnered with a company that you can connect with. They're called Unlimit Wealth, or Unlimit, and Unlimit is basically you just tell them, hey, MintBuilder sent you. You're going to get in there. And most places that set up your accounts for you like this, because it takes a little bit to make sure you're set up perfectly, they'll charge you a fee of like $1,000 or more. They will charge you $0. Just tell them MintBuilder sent you, and we have a thing through our site you can click on and it will connect you to them. Just email us, or you can do it, find it yourself online and just tell them that. They'll get it and get you in there free. And what you're going to do is you're going to make it like like 5%. They have guaranteed, you're going to earn interest guaranteed. There's only a couple things in the whole world that ever guarantee interest. And the infinite banking concept is one of them. Also, you have potential to start earning dividends because you're kind of like a partner, since it's kind of like your own bank. And a side note of the whole thing is you have a whole life insurance policy. If something happens to you, that's always a huge benefit as well. Some people are like, well, maybe I'm not very insurable. Maybe I have medical conditions, or maybe because of my age, it'll be too expensive. That's fine. You don't have to insure yourself. You can insure a spouse. You can insure a child. You can, if you own a business, you can insure your key employees. There's, like President Biden has like 3 of these policies. All the ultra wealthy people have it because the other big benefit is that it is a tax shelter. You're able to, and I'm not a tax. I'm not in the tax industry. I mean, I can only tell you that I know that with the infinite banking situation, that as long as you don't MEC, which means go over on your savings, that it's not taxable. This is something that's been done since the Rockefeller the Rockefeller time, the JP Morgan time, over like 140 years ago, I think it was, they started this. And it's basically like a loophole through our tax system. And allows you to also have other protections, that you can like set up a will or a trust, and you can also, have your infinite bank set up through there. There's a lot of things you can do with it. But the bottom line is it helps you avoid taxes. It helps you increase your savings because you're saving in there. You can borrow the money from yourself any time you want to. And this is another huge benefit. Let's say that you have like $12,000 saved and you need $10,000 because you're gonna, buy a car, or you're paying off a car or something like that, let's say, right? Now you just borrow the $10,000 from yourself. It's your bank, you're withdrawing it from your own bank. And then you go pay for whatever it is you're paying for. Maybe you're buying an investment that's going to make you more money. Maybe you're paying off some debt that's going to save you a whole bunch of interest. But here's the cool part. So you have 12,000 in there, right? When you borrow 10,000, how much does that leave you? You think 2,000, right? Wrong. You borrowed 10,000 from 12,000, so 12 minus 10 is 2. No, it's still 12,000. So 12,000 minus 10 is still 12. The math doesn't make sense, but it's true. You borrow the money, you're going to continue to earn 5% or whatever the percent is at the time. The only thing is there's guarantee you're going to always earn a percentage. In 140 years, you've always earned a percentage and dividends. And you're still going to earn interest on the money, even though it's not there. Now, you can borrow money from your 401k, but you're going to get taxed to death on it, and you're going to pay interest on it. And you're not going to earn interest on it even when you borrow it out of there because it's not in there. Even though you're borrowing it out of your insurance policy, this insurance company that you've partnered with, they're going to continue to pay you full interest on the full amount, even though the full amount's not in there. It doesn't sound right. It's arbitrage, right? Like, how can I do this? And you do have to pay an interest rate until you have it paid back in full. But typically the interest rate is lower than what you're earning. So you're still making money on the money that's not in there. Now, what if you took that money out, you're earning 5% on it, you took it out, and then you put it into an investment that you're earning 12% on. So now you're earning 12% plus 5%, 17%. And what if you had to pay 3.5%, right? So you're still making 13.5% on money that isn't even in your account anymore, but for some reason it still kind of is in your account, right? And you pay it back. This is how it is. So this is a cool concept that the ultra wealthy have been utilizing for a long time, and why it's been kind of kept a secret. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe there's all kinds of theories on that. But I'm telling you, we're here to help you grow your wealth, MintBuilder, and this is an awesome tool. Awesome tool. So you can go there, and because MintBuilder referred to you, you're paying 0 fees. It's not going to cost you anything. So I've talked about it a long time. The huge other benefit here at MintBuilder is this. You have the ability to earn money by referring others to MintBuilder. So MintBuilder is not one of those pyramid Ponzi scheme things, not like our government. It's different. That was a pun intended, sarcasm, sorry. We also have the highest refer and earn affiliate program on the planet in our specific niche. You're going to have all these different companies that are going to be like, okay, well, if you refer, and hit this level of whatever, you're going to earn $10,000 a week. You can earn up to $10,000 a week, and people don't see up to $10,000 a week. They're like, oh, if I'm this level, I'm going to earn $10,000 a week. No, it's not like that. it's all about balancing, like some kind of like a binary where you have to balance points and teams, and you have to like refer like 4 people or 6 people or 8 people or 10 people just to get your first payout. And most people don't do it, so there's a lot of attrition in there and things like this that happen. But it's so complicated and it sounds really good up front. But trust me, I love numbers. I love crunching comp plans. I've been doing it for a couple decades now, since the late 90s. Oh God, that's more than a couple decades. That's a quarter of a century. I feel old now, but anyway, I've been doing it for a long time, and I can tell you, the real numbers are not there. And what I think, again, with MintBuilder, I want the average person to come in and build to capitalize, take advantage, and make something of it. That's why we're keeping things affordable. That's why we want precious metals cheap, and we want it to be on an automatic basis for people. And that's why we believe that if you make one sale referral, you should get paid for it. You shouldn't have to get 2 or 4 or 8 or 10 and balance things out. And all, you should get paid to make one referral. And if it's a referral that is recurring, which means like they're paying for like a monthly membership or an annual membership, you should get paid for it over and over again every single time. Us as a company, we are, because that's where the profit comes from. Again, when we're selling the metals, it's not really, there's no profit in selling the metals, but within the membership, to allow people to have access to all these things, which the benefits of the membership far outweigh the membership cost. So it's kind of like a win-win, no-brainer for everybody, right? And so we believe that you should continue to get paid for those sales over and over, and it should be every time you refer somebody, you should get paid for it. Well, here at MintBuilder, we're actually super excited because we have something in the pipeline that's coming, and we're hoping, with fingers crossed, that's going to be next month. But it could be a little bit longer, but I don't foresee it being much further. That's having a new website and also a comp plan that's going to be super sweet. We're talking about 25% direct payouts to the refer. You're talking like $75 upfront per annual membership you refer, things like that. And I'm letting the cat out of the bag a little bit more than I should probably, but it's significant. We're talking about having 2 streams of income in a household and needing a third extra stream, right? MintBuilder might not be something that becomes full-time for everybody. We definitely have people, and we'll have more and more people that this is their full-time income. Especially as we move and transform over the next month or so. I believe it's going to become a lot more people's full-time income. And we're going to do some profit sharing, basically like a pool profit share too for some leaders, entry level leaders. I'm not talking about people that only 2 people hit it. I'm talking about kind of lower level entry leadership. We're going to do some profit sharing with that as well. We want to share the wealth. Now you can create at least an extra stream of income without having to go out and work another 20 hours somewhere, and maybe make this your full-time deal. That's what we really want. We want this to be a kind of an income replacer, if you will. And you're saving wealth. You can use the money to buy more and more precious metals, or you can use it to pay your bills or get out of debt or go on vacation, whatever you want to, right? So that's what we're here at MintBuilder. That's what we're here for. Super excited about those things to come. Look for emails as we continue to trickle out more and more as we have it, to kind of get everybody on board with it. But remember, right now is the time to make this happen, because we want to make sure we get to the last, what is it, 280 some people we need to hit our goal to lower keep the membership price lowered. And then let's just blow past that so that we can maybe soon entertain lowering the price even more, making it more and more affordable for everybody. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. We have to do this, so we only have like 3 more weeks to hit our goal. So it can only happen with your guys' help that are listening to this right now. But I believe it can be done. We're a team, we're a family, and we are kind of all on the same page where our goal is to help people, right? We're trying to get people to be not victims of what's happening with our currency. We don't want people to be victims like they were in 1933 when wealth was stole from them by 40%. 1971 when it was again ripped out from underneath of us. The only good thing from that point was at least we can own gold again legally. We want to help people to accomplish more, and I think that those of you on here feel the same way. I mean, I think it's kind of human nature to you're getting your needs met. You want to help others get their needs met. It's kind of like you've gotten to that point. I've written a book by Ray Dalio called Principles. Love it. It's a pretty in-depth, long read, but he's talking about that too. He's at a point in his life now where he's accomplished what he needed to accomplish. Now the rest of his life is about giving back and helping other people. And I think that's what human nature is. I think we need to do that to feel, accomplished in, what we should be doing, right? And that means a little bit different things for every person. But I think here at MintBuilder, it's kind of the same thing for all of us. We're helping people with what we're doing that's working. So that's it. That's what I have for tonight. And I appreciate you for appreciate you watching this and being on here. Now, for those of you who have any questions, you can unmute, you can ask it in the chat, and I'll be happy to stick around for a few minutes to answer any of those questions you might have. And thanks again, everybody. I do appreciate it. Thanks for being. I know it was kind of a short notice since we had a little tweak on at the beginning with the link mishap. You guys are great.
Hey,
All right, I don't see any questions, guys.
Yeah, Matthew, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I hear you now. Yep.
Yeah. Will you be able to share this recording? Is it?
Absolutely. Yep. We are recording it. We're going to send it out probably first thing in the morning.
Awesome. Great. So can you little elaborate on that IDS storage? So how does it work, and what would be the access? Let's say if I store something over there, will it be accessible whenever I want and I can put it back, or can you please elaborate on it?
Absolutely. So we store, good question, because I didn't really go in depth on it this time around, but we store with one of the most trusted storage companies in the United States called IDS of Delaware, International Depository Services of Delaware. Now they're insured by Lloyd's of London, which is really a tough insurance company to have a vault stored with. You have to have like third-party auditing, and you have lots of protection, and things have to be in place, to make that happen. So we have partnered with them. I think we partnered with them a couple of years ago. And so you basically just set up, like if you want you have an account set up. If you're a VIP member, you simply just email support@mintbuilder.com. They're going to send you a form to fill out. We're going to submit the form to our partner, IDS. They're going to get you a vault number, and it's going to be your own ID number, and it's going to go under MintBuilder. So we're kind of like, what's happening with that is we're getting it so that you guys have that full storage ability. And it's not just like you storage where you just like everybody puts all their metals in and you only get back the same weight. We have it allocated and segregated, which means that whatever you send in, this is premium storage. This is the highest level costing storage you can get. Whatever you send in, you're getting that exact coin or bullion back. And so you set that up. You send us the form. We get it takes us like a day or so. We'll get you your number, and then we can set it up in your account for you so that if you want anything you order, or whether it be on your auto savings or whether it be something you buy from the shop, that your ship to address will be IDS, and then it'll have your account number, so they'll go directly into your account there. They credit it right to you, and then at any moment in time you want to retrieve your product, it's really easy. You just tell us support@mintbuilder.com, and we'll send you a release form, and you tell us what you want to release, all of it, part of it, and then we'll put in the decree to IDS, and then they'll ship it out directly to you. It doesn't have to come back to us. It'll just go directly to you. And we have people do that all the time, and it's worked flawlessly over the years. So yeah, that's exactly how it works.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Matthew.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Pamela,